Hey guys, it's Nick, aka the Titans Fanatic, here to wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, a Happy Kwanzaa, and a Happy Holidays. In this video, we're going to talk about the Seahawks and the Titans game this coming weekend. We're also going to talk about, should we hold on to Derrick Henry? Would he be willing to stay for a decreased role and a decreased amount of money? I'm not exactly sure. And also, should we worry about if Mike Vrabel decides to leave or if we decide to move on from Mike Vrabel? Stay tuned.
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me.
Okay, so I wanted to start this week's episode by talking about, should we keep Derrick Henry? Will we be able to keep Derrick Henry? My hopes are that we could keep Derrick Henry. I love Derrick Henry. I think he's awesome. He's old school mindset, big workhorse running back that the Titans have. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say Chris Johnson was a big running back, but he could carry the load like a workhorse. But I mean, he was a little more of a dual threat running back, but he could get like, 20, 25 touches. But Derrick Henry's in the mold of an Eddie George, an Earl Campbell, or somebody like that. Somebody who the Titans have traditionally, over the entire existence of the Titans slash Oilers, have always had. So, I know a lot of people, like, really early in his career, they almost gave up on him. I like how he was resilient, came back. I've had a video about how I think he could be. I think realistically he could probably have been in, already have beat Eddie George for the all-time Titans slash Oilers yardage if we had better offensive lines. I think consistently, like I had said in the other videos, consistently he has worked with worse offensive lines since his 2,000-yard season. So I think the numbers that he has now, I think he's sixth in the league right now with like 800 and something yards, close to 900 yards, and that's with like 2 games of like 30 something rushes. I mean, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. It's like something crazy. Sorry, looking at my cheat sheet. Of course, I didn't write it down, but I mean, I know we all know how horrible the last game was. And the game before that, he had a couple touchdowns, but he wasn't like traditional Derrick Henry. Well, my big thing is, I think that these type, even though I love them because they're old school, these type of running backs are going to be phased away and not going to be in the NFL anymore. I won't want to say ever, but fewer and further between, maybe. I think he's becoming a dinosaur at the position. I don't think that I think that the going to a running back by committee approach is not only smart because you have a lot of guys that like could come in and be fresher. You don't chance you save the likelihood or lower the likelihood of an injury. I mean, an injury can happen on any one play, but like, if a guy's not taking 20 to 30 touches a game, it's less likely he's taking less chances, right? So like, you know, I mean, Derrick Henry's been pretty resilient his entire career. He had the one year where he did have the foot injury, which could have been, he was on pace, even though he was on pace for, I don't know off the top of my head, but I think he had already had like close to 300 and something carries in that like 9 or 10 game stretch. So he's on pace for probably like 500 touches or something. Either or, he was on pace for probably maybe another 2,000-yard season. But I don't think at this point in his career and at this point in the way the NFL runs that you should be able to put all your eggs in that basket, I guess is basically what I'm saying. But I don't think on the other end, like the other end being like Derrick Henry's side, and that's why I brought up this particular, where he was calling out the NFL over, I think it was basically he was saying that, yeah, Josh Jacobs uh, shouldn't need to hold out for a better deal because over the summer he was basically holding out. He was wanting a better deal because like this shouldn't be like, I'm really paraphrasing, like it shouldn't be like that for running backs. They shouldn't be devalued so much. And, for all they do and all the touches and touchdowns and things that they do, I can see his point. But like, overall, that's just the way the NFL works. And further down in this, it breaks down Derrick Henry's this year's like right here. It talks about he's going to make $12.5 million, which I think that's like without bonuses and stuff. I think he actually, I'd have to look it up, but I think didn't he get like a couple $1 million bonus at the beginning of the year or something like that? So that would actually be like $14 million he would get paid this year, if not more, with incentives maybe. I don't know. I didn't research that, so I'm not going to sit here and say that I know exactly what I'm talking about in that regards. But it says he's the third out of this list of running backs that they're talking about between Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, and Nick Chubb, who's fourth. He's the third highest paid running back in the NFL. So even with that being said, Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara, they're more dual threat. I mean, they're as dangerous as a receiver as they are as a running back. I mean, I know Derrick Henry has gotten a little better at receiving, but he ain't a Christian McCaffrey or Alvin Kamara. Like, let's just be honest about it. So, like, I think that they're also getting paid because they are receiving threats. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can, where if Derrick Henry was to have a great season of maybe close to 2,000 yards, so say he got another 2,000-yard season, and then he maybe got a couple hundred yards receiving, I mean, you're still looking at maybe Christian McCaffrey getting over 2,500 yards around in there pretty consistently between all his touches, both receiving and rushing. So, I mean, I think you're looking at a guy that can pick up yards in multiple different ways, just like Alvin Kamara. So, like, I don't think they're paid a little more handsomely is what my point is, because they're not just your straight running back. But either or, they are listed as running back. So, well, the thing is, I don't think with him coming out at the beginning of last year and then us saying, hey, Derrick, we'd love to keep you. We'd love for you to hang around. But what we're going to do is give you a decreased role. We're going to make you maybe like the number two. Play Spears a little more in front of you. He's got the burst. He's got the moves. You'll be our big bully guy. Come in, and you'll probably get 150, 175 to 200 touches between your receiving and your rushes, and we'll get you down close to the goal line and let you, be a touchdown vulture and steal some touchdowns and stuff like that. And we'll give you about $5 to $6 million a year, incentive lady maybe up to 7 or 8 for a couple years. Would you be all right with that? I mean, he's already said they don't get paid enough. So why would he go and say he'll get paid any more than what Tennessee will be able to pay him? Because Tennessee has one of the highest amounts of money next year. But I don't think you can stand on that pedestal or soapbox or whatever and sit there and say, hey, great. I don't. This is what I'm mad about, and I think running backs should get more, and then be okay with the next year you taking less. I mean, I don't see that. He seems like a man of his word, and I don't see that he would change it. Either or, hopefully they can figure out something. We could keep him around. He can retire in two-tone blue, but we'll have to see. We'll just have to see. It's part of the business. Older players still feel value to a certain degree, and then sometimes teams Want to go cheaper, want to go younger, and that's just how it goes. But next, I want to talk to you about, should we care if Mike Vrabel leaves? Should it be time for a change at head coaching position? Let's go ahead and take a look at that. What do you guys think about if I know there's been rumors that about Vrabel possibly going to Ohio State, about a potential first round or some sort of draft compensation given to the Titans in a trade for Mike Vrabel if Bill Belichick and New England was to go their separate ways. What do you guys think if there seems like every year in the last couple of years there is some sort of rumor or some sort of something out there where Mike Vrabel might possibly be on the move. Do you guys think that it's time? Like, I know that there's been a lot of like people, especially like after losses in this last year and a half or year or so, people are like, as soon as we lose, it's like, you know, fire so and so, fire the offensive coordinator, fire the so and so, fire the the second ball boy, fire Mike Vrabel, fire whatever, the parking lot attendant. I don't know. Everybody's like on fire somebody bus. And I'm not on necessarily that bus, but I'm like, I do want to look at the body of work, and I do want to look at the the events. Now, I don't have everything down to an exact T, but we all are fans of the Titans, and we all know how it seemed like there was a power struggle with Mike Vrabel and John Robinson last year at some point. It felt like at some point, and I don't know exactly, I don't have no inside sources, I don't know exactly how it went, but it seemed like at some point somebody went to somebody and said, listen, this guy's got to go or I got to go because I don't like the choices he's making in personnel and I just can't take it no more. I don't know. It's what it felt like. It's just so mid-season, like because like I had never seen the Titans do that ever. They don't even do it now. Like your offensive coordinator, who's horrible, and Todd Downing last year can get a DUI in the middle of the season and be calling the games like crap, and they still won't let him go. But you can let the general manager go because of so and so reasons that they make up. Now, that was obviously a power struggle. So, in my opinion, that means that from that point forward, every move that was made, even though Ran Carthon came in, I feel like every point from that point forward was like, Mike Vrabel, you're now accountable. You can't say me and John are doing this. Me and John are checking with Amy Adams, and she's saying okay, she's good with what we came up with. You pulled the power card, you won, and so now you have to be accountable. And so from that point forward, yes, John Robinson did leave the Titans in a conundrum. They left them in a financial conundrum and a talent conundrum. But if we want to just use an example of the starters that were on the offensive line, who, in my opinion, is one of the most historically worst offensive line of all time, of those starters that were on the team or on this team, let's see. Let's start with the left tackle. So the left tackle we started with at the beginning of the year was picked up by both Ran Carthon and John Robinson. He was replaced at some point, by another. I think he was replaced by Dylan, who was a John Robinson guy, who was the only one at any point in time who's played this year was a John Robinson guy. Everybody else has been somebody else that Vrabel or Ran Carthon had something to do with. It's like he doesn't want to take accountability for the actions that he's putting on the field. It's like, okay, we're going to make John accountable for the actions that he did. And he did do a lot of bad stuff. There was obviously getting rid of AJ. There was some of his draft picks were just crap. And that's what the draft is. The draft is a crapshoot. I mean, AJ was a great player. He took the chance of going, could we find another guy that's just as good as AJ for cheaper? Every team does that. Every team does it. I mean, they do, but maybe it's not in their prime or maybe not at that present moment. And I think so much was publicly put out there between AJ and the Titans and Vrabel also saying, no, it'll never happen, not on my watch, and blah, 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 which he's never taken accountability for. And that built onto the whole situation. Like, made it even worse. Him getting up in the middle of the trade and walking around the room like ticked off, knowing that it's the damn war room, dude. They got cameras everywhere. Like if you didn't like it, I mean, I'm sure that y'all talked about some kind of contingency plan if that trade was to go down. I mean, but Vrabel wants it his way, but he doesn't want to take accountability for it. I'm not sitting here saying that Mike Vrabel is not a good coach. By no means. I can't coach football. I mean, I see some things, I understand some things, I know some things. I'm just some dude talking on YouTube because I'm a fan. Love the Titans, but sometimes you have to be able to see things from the outside perspective, and I don't think Mike Vrabel does that. I think a lot of times, and I'm not saying he's doing a horrible job, but I think sometimes he wants to play in the media like, it's all just part of the job and it's everybody else's fault or it's all the other situation that it just is. And it's not what I do. It's just, I mean, he'll say it starts with me. Well, if it starts with you, Mike, if if it starts with the accountability starts with you, well, then why do you have all but Dylan Radin's playing in this last game that almost killed your potentially new franchise quarterback? Every one of them other cast of characters that were getting destroyed last week was people that y'all picked up. People that y'all either paid, or draft picks or something. I mean, you have your 6th-round pick, your 1st-round pick, your way too small center that you kept, but moved from guard to center. A kind of alright back and forth to starting to whatever in Brunskill guard, and then you have Dylan playing, which is John Robinson's 2nd-round pick, playing right tackle. So whose responsibility is it? Like, and also the fact is, like, I know that like he explained the whole we had a run to set up the pass. True. You have to run to set up the pass if your runs are working. And like, I'm not sitting here saying you need to totally abandon the running game if you're being that unsuccessful. But you need to add some variety to it. Like, I don't know, sprinkle in some kind of slants, sprinkle in some kind of quit game, sprinkle in some sort of like, make the pacing different. I mean, maybe make it faster, run some tempo, like do something. Like, I don't know, like, but just running up the middle or trying to run up the middle and Derrick Henry getting caught 3 yards in the backfield, or Tajay Spears get caught 3 yards in the backfield consistently over and over and over. Whose accountability for that is it, Mike? Even if it's Tim Kelly's play calling, and I know there was times because like I could see it during the game, they would go to Mike Vrabel's, like a shot of Mike Vrabel, and he would look like, what the heck are we doing here, guys? Like, what? Like, you could see on his face that like he was like, why are we calling this play? And I commend the guy for trying to take the guys, for being there for the guy, taking his back, trying to be there for his fellow coach. But sometimes you got to say, hey, even if you're going to say we need to work on better things, and there were some things that Tim's got to work on. He's got to not run his head against the wall, or however you want to say it. Maybe not quite like that, but there's some things he needs to be a little bit more creative. We'll work on it, but don't just be like, give us. The thing is, sometimes he talks at us. Like, yes, I may not understand every single aspect of everything about football. I understand enough to know that you were banging your head against the wall and running plays that weren't working. I understand that enough. So don't talk to me like I don't understand that as a fan. Like, granted, I wasn't at the game, but I could tell you this much: if I would have paid $200 or $300 to go there and sit there and watch that crap, you come out there in your Bum Phillips hat, you come out there in your Houston Oilers throwbacks and all this other stuff, all this hoopla, repaint the field, me buy me a New Jersey, me go down there and do all this other stuff. I'd be mad. I ain't gonna show up in the next week. I ain't gonna give you all my hard-earned money, and that's what Mike don't understand. I think sometimes he don't understand. Yes, it's the game is played by very talented millionaires, owned by very business-oriented billionaires that own the teams. But it's all because the people that want to go out, hundreds and thousands of people want to go out there and spend their hard-earned hundreds of dollars, that understand and love the game of football, that gives them the ability to go out there and play a game for a living. And I don't think Mike understands that. I mean, maybe he does, and he don't care. I don't know. I don't know him personally. I don't know. But it just seems like he's so disconnected, like where he can just talk at you. He very much, and I understand, because his frame of reference is probably going off of Bill Belichick, but he very much seems like he comes off at people, especially in the media sessions, where he is like, I'm smarter than you. Why are you asking me this question? You're obviously an idiot and you know nothing about football. And you know nothing. And the fans don't matter. And that's what I feel like whenever I watch his pressers and stuff. It's like, yes, he takes his time doing the, well, we're just on to next week and we'll just have to do better. Just like Bill Belichick. I mean, he's just a copy paste of Bill Belichick's coaching with the media. But it's like there's no accountability. Just like Bill Belichick, whenever Tom Brady left, Bill Belichick does not sit there and say, you know what, Tom Brady was awesome. That's why when I was with the Browns, nothing ever happened. I went to the Jets and then stayed there for 2 days and went to the Patriots, and it was because of Tom Brady. He doesn't lift people up in the media. Now, he may do it behind the scenes, and that's really where it counts. But sometimes, like, it looks kind of bad when you're sitting there and, like, you're a little scared, or not scared. I won't say Mike Vrabel's scared of anything, but he's a little bit, he won't say anything to the media, to the people, which is how you're talking to the fans through the media, or we don't seem like we're idiots. And he won't build up his quarterbacks, or he won't build up his players in the eyes of the fans, so we just look like you really don't care. You're just showing up. And I know he cares, because like when I watch like Bussin' with the Boys or whatever, you can tell he's a totally different dude behind the scenes. Totally different dude. Like, those guys that are on there, Taylor Wan, I'm drawing, dang it, what's his name? The linebacker that's on there. I don't watch Bussin' with the Boys all the time, but the times that I did, I watched it with Coach Vrabel on there and a few other players. He's a totally different dude. Like, whenever he's one of the boys, whenever he's behind the scenes and he's not in the media, but his media personality is so much like Bill Belichick's, and he needs to learn. Yeah, there's certain things you can be like Bill Belichick, but you need to be like Coach Vrabel. You need to be like Coach Vrabel on certain things. You don't have to copy paste this whole, like, well, we're just on to the next one. You just, we have to do better. We have to, be real. Be real with us. That's all we're asking. So, I mean, like I said, if Mike Vrabel was to stay, I think he's a great coach. Like I said, I think he does great behind the scenes. but there's some things that he needs to clean up. His accountability in public, his interaction with, like, not interaction, let me rephrase it, his communication with how he communicates about things, how we see him, how we hear things from him, because we don't get to have conversations with Mike Vrabel, with the media. And then I don't think that, I mean, they always have coaching changes there, but I think that he needs to hold some of these top level guys, and he did with, like, uh, Keith, what was it, Craig Eckerman, or the special teams coach he let go a few weeks ago. He did with him. So I'm not saying that he won't with Tim Kelly, and I'm not saying Tim Kelly needs to necessarily leave, but there needs to be some creativity. And I know that there's deficiency in talent there, but you gotta help your team. You gotta know that you got a deficiency in talent. So I've been on the soapbox forever, so whatever. But I think that, like, I just think that he needs to come in next year with a different mindset and a different way he's going to handle the media, different way he's going to handle making adjustments, and that's in a multiple facets: in-game adjustments, uh, personnel adjustments, staffing adjustments, like media personality adjustments. Like I said, uh, and just be authentic. I think that's the big thing. But um, other than that, I need to go over what we expect from the game. And here we go. Okay, so in this week's game, we have the visiting Seattle Seahawks versus the Titans. Um, a lot of the steam has been let out. A lot of the hype, I guess you could say, really been let out after last week's game. This game really doesn't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of this particular season. There could be, potential for future. You could always find guys that could stick on a practice squad, like some guys that came in the last couple of weeks that might want to stick around. Might be able to put some good film out there, maybe even just for their careers, for their individual careers. They might find a job here or somewhere else. Some of the young players can get some experience. I don't think Will Levis is going to go. All signs look like it's going to be Tannehill, um, which I really honestly feel like it should be Malik Willis. Um, we invested a third in Malik Willis. He wasn't ready to go in last year, and you could obviously tell that. And I don't know that he's going to be any more ready this year. But if he did go in and he was to happen to squeeze out a few good games, not good enough to win, hopefully, but good enough to look good, maybe somebody will throw us a sixth or seventh round pick. And we need some extra picks, even if it's just ammunition to move up to get somebody in the fourth. We could take a fifth and a sixth that somebody might give us. We have a fifth, somebody gives us a sixth. We'll take them, package them, maybe get us a fourth or something. It's supposedly a pretty deep receiver class. There's some pretty good offensive linemen from what I've been able to see. I'm no scout by no means, but I try to watch film of some of the guys that are coming out so that I can think about the future, and just I could be totally off on these guys, but so could everybody else. But I think that there's some pretty deep or some pretty good positions that are coming out that we need. Obviously, we're a bad team, so we need a lot of positions. We could take a seventh round ball boy at this point, and if you make our team better, it doesn't really matter. But the big thing is just maybe it's more time for the offensive line to gel, potentially. Maybe give Duncan, Braden's a little bit more experience. Skoronski needs some more experience. He's got to get his play strength up. I thought he was getting his play strength up in the Miami game. He looked pretty good for the most part. But last week, unless those guys are just world strongest men competitors, those dudes were throwing around grown men like it wasn't nothing. And so, I don't know. We gotta get some anchors going. Get some guys that get especially Skoronski, because he's probably going to be. There might be one or two, maybe. I think maybe Radens or maybe Brunskill might be back, but at the two tackle positions and the center position, we definitely need new personnel there. Either or, like I don't really want Tannehill to play because I think Tannehill would be just good enough to win, and we don't really need a fluke win for no reason. Titans will figure out how to do it because the one thing that I'd had a lot of complaints about Mike Vrabel before, but the one thing Mike Vrabel is great at is rallying the troops, and sometimes even if that's for no particular reason, like the year that we had all those injuries, or 2 years we had all those injuries. In all honesty, we may have overreached. Like we may have overperformed, and that maybe has a lot to do with Mike Vrabel, and it probably does have a lot to do with Mike Vrabel. But and it wouldn't have really mattered because it didn't seem like John Robinson at that time in those years. I think those were the years he was still here. He could really draft a first or second round pick, other than maybe we got AJ Brown and Derrick Henry, which were great. But out of the whole term that he was here, those were the only two. I mean, he could scout some mid like the third, fourth, fifth round guys, sixth round guys, but he couldn't get no. He wasn't really good at the top of the list guys. But that's either here and there. There's nothing we have to live with anymore. I just think it's funny. But overall, for the score, now that I've rambled enough, I think I think Seattle will win. I don't know if Gino will play. I think he didn't play last week and they still won. I don't think it really matters. I don't really know. Uncle Rico could probably throw against our freaking deep, cornerbacks and safeties right now, so it really don't matter, to be honest. Like, if it is Gino or not, I think that Seattle will probably win 27-16. I think it might be one of those another scenario where maybe the Titans jump out at first, maybe even 7-10 points, and then just kick field goes down the stretch, and then Seattle just takes off from there. That's just kind of how I feel like it's going to be. Either or. I'm looking forward to finding out a little more on like where our draft positioning is going to be, so we can start looking forward to the future. Seeing, next month there's like the Senior Bowl, East West Shrine game, stuff like that. Starting to see these, getting ready for the upcoming season. So either or, there'll be a lot more stuff coming out from me, and I appreciate any of you guys that's checked out my videos. If you would, let's make sure that the YouTube gods are very happy by, checking that like button and subbing, sharing, all that other stuff. Appreciate you guys so much, and peace.